Hello everyone, today we got to play Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. So this recently came in right from
This
the
is the Kickstarter version.
Yes, so this is the Kickstarter version. But before we get into this wonderful game, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you want to find out more about games, specifically Kickstarters that come out.
Come out after they're released, 2 months after they're released in stores retail. If you want to find out about those, contact us or Stronghold Games because they're good at that. Not that we're bitter.
I don't know.
So yes, this is this is a 2021 release. Just 7.5 on Board Game Geek for as far as rating. It's ranked 1184 right now. Designer were Sidney Engelstein, Jacob Frixelius, and Nick Little. Artists were William Bricker, Garrett Kaida, Neo Mendoza, Justine Norte, Naomi Robinson, and Andre Steff. Published by Fricks Games and Stronghold Games.
Okay. So let's talk about quality of pieces. So, were there any add-ons versus standard game?
Kickstarter, the main thing was we had storage. We have these storage bins that are plastic and sealed. Game trays, I think they're called.
Yeah, or something like that. What about the mats?
The mats are add-ons. We paid extra for those. They don't come standard with it. And then the indented boards or the inlaid boards are added from they're not retail.
Okay.
So apart from that, I think everything else is standard retail.
So explain to me a little bit of background. So this was actually released in retail before the Kickstarter came out?
So they made a deal with Target to release this game at a specific date. And then with all the delays from COVID and all the delays from the manufacturing and the shipping issues that arose, they claimed that was why it managed to reach retail before the Kickstarter backers got their copies. How they managed to magically ship them, that's the question that still remains. But that was a big beef for a lot of people that they didn't get their copy. I was a little upset, but not too bad. It was what upset me more was when I got the promos that I paid extra for, and they didn't include the tokens. So the promos are actually for Terraforming Mars, which is the game I care way more about. And they gave us cards that were non-functional because they are missing the tokens to put on the board.
Oh.
So there's a lot of grievances people have with
Well, luckily you can get those printed.
Well, yes, thankfully we have a 3D printer, and someone's already posted the STL files, so we should be able to get those added.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather have the STLs anyway, because I'd rather have the ones that match our 3D printed tokens.
Yeah, so, because mine are cooler.
Yep.
They just are. All right, so quality of pieces, though. You do have the inlaid boards, which are an add-on. You have your very generic, now Terraforming Mars clear cubes for color.
These were in the Kickstarter game.
These were in the Kickstarter. Okay, not retail.
They're not retail. They just had...
But they're the Kickstarter version. You got the storage trays. I think they did a little bit better with quality of pieces than the standard Terraforming Mars.
Yeah. The cards are really nice. I do like the cards. They're textured very well. Good thickness.
Okay.
The board's textured. The rulebook is textured. I like the rulebook a lot as far as the texture.
It does look kind of nice over here. Yeah,
so
a nice little board. What do you think score-wise, though? I mean, you've got the playmat add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is better than the old Terraforming Mars when it was first released without all the upgrades. I do actually like the silver, bronze, and gold a lot better than I do the original that came out.
It doesn't look like it'll peel. It looks like it's actually... Yeah,
they're less like metallic, like the metallic like they had, but at the same time, it's got this swirl pattern that I actually kind of appreciate aesthetically. It seems a little more, I don't know, spacey to me. I like it better.
Yeah, I like everything about the components that came in it except for this board. The board is a problem when you're trying to keep track of your scoring on the track.
I wish they would have done the inlays.
Because,
why not do this? This is such a small board. They could have done an inlay.
Well, I don't know if you could do inlays with the score track because you could have all four players
just
on the same spot.
Just do the little notches like they did here.
But then you have to stack 4 people high because they all are going to potentially be on the same
better than this
score.
mess.
Yeah, this is not good. It bumps easily, and your the squares are tiny. So your cubes fit perfectly into a square, but then when the board gets bumped, when people are trying to flip a token on the board, your score gets
I would
lost.
rather have had the jaggy,
Yeah.
If they would have made this inlay, that would have been a lot nicer. But given that, there's some definitely better than what originally.
Yeah.
Better than Catan, I would definitely say, with the Kickstarter version.
Yeah.
I would probably give this a 6.5, maybe a 7. What are your thoughts?
Given that the cards are the predominant function of the game, and they are super nice, I would probably give it a 7.
Okay. I feel good with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the only thing I don't like about it is the board. And the play mats to some extent, because they're not big enough. I mean, they're big, but they don't hold all your cards easily.
I'm not gonna lie. This seemed to be more of a distraction for me than an actual benefit to me. Not gonna lie, because I didn't use this.
Okay,
I didn't use it effectively.
It didn't bother me, except for the fact that it basically is telling you where to place your blue, red, and green cards, and I find myself building way more of different colors than the arrangements that are on there. So I needed way more space for blue, not as much space for red.
And that's just your play style. I agree with that one. I think, for me, it almost seemed. Anyway, not very effective as a play mat. I don't think that's just because of the way we play, and it could be the fact that we're way more accustomed to the actual original version.
Yeah.
So let's move on to theme. This is just a same thing as Terraforming Mars, except it's like Terraforming Mars Light.
Well, it's basically, it feels like Race for the Galaxy combined with Terraforming Mars, because your selection criteria, which when we get into gameplay we'll talk about more, but your selection criteria for your actions is pure Race for the Galaxy, but the card play and everything else about this game is Terraforming Mars.
But theme, it's just Terraforming Mars again. Like literally no difference.
Yeah, you're doing exactly the same thing. You're Terraforming Mars.
Except, I think, actually, there's less than the original because you don't have the board of actually seeing your because the only thing in this one is that you have water tiles that you flip over actually on the map of Terraforming of Mars. And that just doesn't feel... I think it loses some of the appeal thematically because this is more of a condensed version.
I agree. I mean, it's a good attempt for getting something quick to play and making... Because Terraforming Mars, for us anyway, it takes 4 hours.
For you.
For your brother, for me, for lots of people.
Yeah, I'm the speed demon, and I'm not even that fast. So that's pretty saying something.
It's a long game. This one you can play in about an hour and a half. I mean, it's much shorter. It says 60 minutes. I'd probably say 90 for us, but it's a much quicker game.
So theme, give it a score.
It's pretty light on here. I'm going to give it a 6, probably. I can't see it going any higher than that. I don't think it's that. Doesn't. Feel
I think some of the theme got lost.
Yeah, it's very light.
Yeah.
In here.
I can agree with the 6. I feel comfortable about that. Going now to rule books. Did we actually read the rule books? We got taught this game.
Well, we got taught the game, but I went back and read it to refresh my memory because I wanted to make sure I was explaining it correctly. And when I did, that's when I discovered.
You like to read rules.
I discovered there was one rule that was misinterpreted to us. So that was a good thing I went back because you can actually cash cards in any time. We were told that you had to wait until you hit your limit, and then any cards above your limit you could sell for $3. You can sell them anytime you want for $3.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there wasn't anything I found that we didn't already know. But either way, it gave me an opportunity to read the rulebook for this review. So I think the rulebook is really well done. I mean, it's not that complex of a game, but it's got nice examples for everything. It's got demonstrations for everything. So
what's your score for it?
I'm gonna probably give it a 9.
Cool.
I love the feel of the rule book. I mean, it's not important to the rule book at all, but it's nice because if it holds in your hand, it feels nice in your hands, and it's very
So
colorful.
let's also talk about these cheat sheets over here.
Yeah, and it's also got the cheat sheets add to it as well. So
so I think the cheat sheets are we didn't end up having to use them because if you know Terraforming Mars, this is actually
it's not just that, but the cards tell you the shorthand of what's on the cheat sheet. So you know if you're playing an action, it tells you what the action is right on the card, which is nice. And then if you need any further clarification, it's got a little more detail on the cheat sheet.
I think as far as rules go, they were very smart, did very good things with that. I absolutely think a 9 is really spot on for this game.
It's definitely one of the better rule books that I've seen. And it's not long. I mean, it doesn't take long to explain. It's 20 pages, but it's a small 20 pages, and most of it is pictures. And there's solo rules, co-op mode.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not complex to read.
Okay. So let's talk about some gameplay. So the gameplay, we're going to just highlight the cheat sheet because that's how well it is. So there are 3 different major steps within this game. First is the planning step. So each player simultaneously picks out of their hand one of the action cards. So you have research, production, construction, action, and development. So once you choose that, everyone puts it face down. We all decide, and then we flip over, and that's what we have.
So there's these markers out here to show you which actions are in play.
Available.
So we chose a 1 and a 2, so we would flip the 1, which is development.
So and that lets you kind of know all the ones that were activated. So then the next is resolve the phases step. So then you do development. Development is actually building green cards. So that one's, each player may play 1 green card. If you actually chose that action though, then there's a bonus. Pay 3 money less for the card you play this phase. Okay, so everyone gets the action, but if you actually chose that action, you get additional benefits. And
just to point out, if you're not familiar with Terraforming Mars, there's 3 suits of cards in Terraforming Mars. There's green, which are basically a one-time effect in Terraforming Mars. You play them, but they stay face up, and the icons are irrelevant.
Well, they normally have to do with production, and so it's a one-time effect, but it's
an increase of your production and stuff,
yeah,
but
so
not always in Terraforming.
Not always.
This, it almost is exclusively
this one is that. Yeah.
Blue are action cards that will either give you ongoing effects or they'll give you some kind of a trigger effect. And then red is a one-time benefit, but you typically in Terraforming Mars turn it upside down.
That's not the case with this one.
In this one, you actually leave them face up and the icons are still relevant. So there's really not much difference in this game between the red and the green.
No, I think the green is more around production versus the red's more about victory points because you're doing the oceans or you're raising the temperature straight up versus where the green are more focused about production. So I do think that there is a difference. It's whether it's that much of a difference, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then the next phase is construction phase. So each player may play 1 blue card or 1 red card. And then the bonus is draw a card or play an additional blue or red card. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. I just realized that every time I did this, I actually did not do the bonus section.
So basically 1 and 2 are both about building the cards, right? Ordering
so cards. Then the next one is the action, which is about triggering the blue cards. Right. You get to trigger all of them, and then.
But it's also about triggering the standard actions on your player.
Correct. And then the bonus is you may activate 1 additional action again. So you get to do all your actions, and then you get to pick 1 to do again. And then the 4th one is the actual production phase. So the fact is that some rounds you don't produce. So that can get actually pretty rough if someone doesn't choose this action. So each player gains all their production, and then they also get additional 4 money if they chose that action. So that's pretty straightforward, just like Terraforming Mars. And then the last one is the research. Research is where you get more cards. Again, you don't always get cards every round. In Terraforming Mars, you're always accustomed to getting that production, getting the opportunity for cards, but this one you actually have to take an action to be able to do that sometimes.
Or someone has to take an action.
Someone has to do it, yeah.
But you also don't have to pay for cards in this, which is a big difference.
That is true, too. That is a pretty large difference, which part of me kind of liked, but you do get to sell them for a lot more money than you did Terraforming Mars.
It was 1 money in Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, but this one's 3, and it's like, woohoo, I made a profit.
But most of the engine that I was able to see building on this was all about generating cards and selling cards. That's both times I've played this so far. It's been around generating more cards and selling cards for additional profit. So I was making 7 money off of my cards when I was selling them the last game.
Well, not everyone had those cards like you did, and I ended up. I don't even remember. So I mean, but it worked out. So moving on to, we resolved the phases steps, and then now we go to the end step. Each player discards down to 10 cards in the hand, taking 3 MC for each card that they ended up discarding. And then flip all the phase tracker tokens to the closed door side and start the next round. So whatever action that you chose that last round, you cannot choose the following round. So because, like, for example, I did construction, this goes down, and now my hand is limited to those 4 actions. So you can't keep repeating something over and over and over again. Not saying you can't take the action, because if someone else chooses it. So that's pretty much the synopsis of the game. Again, you're trying to raise the oxygen, you're trying to raise the temperature, and you're trying to get the most victory points, and you're trying to flip over the oceans. Those didn't change.
Well, yes, they did in a bit way. They changed in the sense that everything's played simultaneously in this game. Whereas in Terraforming Mars, you take turn order, and that's where I found this to be the weakest. To me, the simultaneous play made the game feel wonky because everybody's playing simultaneously. When you hit the caps of any of the tracks,
everyone's still got victory points, and that's fine.
Well, it works. That works well for the heat and the oxygen, but when it comes to the ocean tiles, that's where it becomes a problem. So I still think it feels a little wonky having everybody play simultaneously on this. I wish it wasn't simultaneous. I understand why, because I wanted to speed the game up and it makes it flow. But
because waiting on you is
when you get to an end point like what you do on the tracks, then it becomes awkward because then they put this rule in where everybody gets to score even though you've maxed out the track for that round, which works okay on the oxygen and the heat, but not so well in the ocean tiles.
Why?
Because there's no more tiles to flip.
So what?
So what do you get?
Just the victory point.
What about the benefit of the flip?
Well, too bad, so sad.
I'm saying it's not. It's a little wonky. It should have been. They should have had a better system on that one for if you're going to play simultaneously.
Well, I mean, I think it's just part of they were trying to shorten the game.
Yeah.
My thoughts about this is actually pretty straightforward. I feel like this is Terraforming Mars light. It really is.
It definitely
if you're
is.
wanting Terraforming Mars and you only got an hour and a half, okay, I can totally see playing this game.
Or Terraforming Mars Travel Edition, whichever way you want to look at it.
Oh yeah, Travel Edition. That's fine too. But I will say, after playing this game, I was like, nah, I want to play the actual Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, that's the same feel. I mean, when I play it, I'm thinking I could be playing Terraforming Mars. This could have been an hour and a half invested into a good Terraforming Mars game, and it's not bad. This game's not bad by any means.
No, it's a good, solid game. I don't want to distract from what it is, but it's almost like getting a taste for something, and it's just like, but I want more.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, but also, I don't enjoy Race for the Galaxy nearly as much as I enjoy Terraforming Mars. So the elements of Race for the Galaxy took away from the enjoyment for me of what I would get from Terraforming Mars.
But at the same time, one of our friends who played with us said, I will not play Terraforming Mars anymore. I'm only going to play this because it fills a niche without taking the time investment.
Yep.
And I think you'll end up with the same for some of those that don't get the opportunity to play a lot of games and would rather play a little bit of a shorter game because, trying to maximize their opportunity. I can see that.
Yeah.
I really can. But for me, like, losing that theme made me lose some of the enjoyment.
Well, there's the tactile placement of the tiles that's missing.
Yes.
It's not just the theme, it's the whole, I'm going to place my tile here and
that
block other players.
Well, and that's one of my big strategies is to play the plants, to constantly play the plants.
Which, in this game, you do get plants, but they are victory point tokens that you so they don't really do anything on the planet.
So I just didn't get it.
But they still double score for you because they increase the oxygen track and they give you a victory point. So they still double score just like in the other game.
So, it's kind of there were some things I liked about this game. It is a shorter version. Will we play this again? Probably if we're on a time crunch. But all this did was just wanting more. Yeah. And so, but that's because Terraforming Mars is one of our favorite games.
I mean, it's such a good game. it would have been hard for this to compare to it. And I mean, I ordered it knowing it wasn't going to be as good as Terraforming Mars because it's a light game. It's a smaller game.
I still wouldn't call it light.
Well, we like Terraforming Mars because it's an advanced, heavier game. It's not.
Right.
It's something we know we're going to sit down for 4 hours.
But this has better accessibility for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I could actually see my mother playing this, my dad playing this, but they wouldn't sit down for a 4-hour Terraforming Mars game.
Yeah.
You know, and it could be an intro of like, hey, let's learn this game. Okay, now we're going to learn the actual Terraforming Mars. So I think it has its place. I still liked it a lot, but it is not Terraforming Mars to me. I'm probably going to give this an 8. What do you think?
I'm maybe a little lower. I may be at a 7.5 on it. I don't think it's far off from you. I just the whole wonkiness of the main board really bothers me.
Yeah, that bothers you way. I didn't bother me at all.
The fact that the tracks cap out and everybody gets their actions simultaneously, I just don't like.
I know you always like getting my last. Yeah, you really don't. But I like it because it does speed it up. I mean, I do like not having to wait on somebody forever because I love you. But between you and my brother, I mean, I could like crochet a blanket by the time you guys finish a turn.
And you do.
Exactly. So, I mean, I will say that there is a place. Sometimes I like to do that, so I'm not waiting, you know.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I felt like the cards that I kept seeing for building engines didn't provide scoring benefit most of the time for me. The stuff I kept getting, and it may be that I was just getting the wrong cards, but 2 games playing, it was the same engine that I kept generating.
Yeah, but I came up with a different engine.
Maybe you did.
But you're always drawn to cards.
Well, I am because they add to my engine.
There you go.
I mean, I like engine building because of it. I like to make the engine run. So there's that.
Well, I do think this took a little bit away from that.
Actually, I was watching a video today where somebody had a really good point, and it hit home. I like games where the engine, you're not penalized for building the engine. And there are very few games where that is. Usually, you're penalized for trying to build your engine because your opportunity cost is like scoring points, which is the case in this game. You know, in order to score points, you have to raise the temperature. You raise and you know, I realize that's what it is for me. I like to have my engine score the points, but in this case, I haven't seen an engine scoring points. It's detracting from me to take scoring points.
Well, we like to play the engine building, world building. For me, it's the world building. Like, in a lot of games, it's like you get a taste of the engine building and then it ends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why we like Terraforming Mars. But when we play with other people, it is a time game because they know the only way they can beat the engine building is to end the game early. And I know that with you guys, like I can't let you guys play too long. You'll cream me, and just because the card strategy is too strong for there. And I really wish we could find a game where it has that engine building capability, and that we could just run with it. And that's, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to find that type of game where you could just, run with it. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast. Hopefully you did too. Hopefully you found this useful. I hope you come visit us again because we like hanging out with you.
Yep.
So thank you guys. Bye.